Afternoon to all. Today we'll start our class 12 and we are going to talk about mainly the fluidization concept of fluidizations, fluid flow behavior through porous media. So that is our topic for today's presentations. Let's go through the first slides. So what happens when a fluid flows through any porous media? There is always some sort of pressure drops associated with it, right? Because the fluid has to percolate through the open space which is available, and the velocity profile of the fluid actually constantly vary across the length through which the fluid will flow. So if we consider the flow of a single phase fluid through a bed of uniform size spherical particle, so the bed mean here we are talking about a stack of particles which is called actually bed, packed bed. You can just consider if you arrange some marbles in a horizontal fashions, okay, some 1,000 or 2,000 marbles in a horizontal fashion over a certain length, and then if you pass fluid from one side to another side, what is going to happen? The fluid has to percolate through the open space which is available. So that maybe that whatever lengths that the marble has arranged, the packing of that marble and the length which is being occupied is called the packed bed. Okay, so the total length through which the fluid will pass through is called actually the length of the bed. So what happens when a fluid flows through a packed bed? The average velocity and at any cross section perpendicular to the flow is based on the entire cross sectional area of the bed. So what does that mean? That the fluid is coming in contact with the entire cross sectional area of the packed bed, and the velocity is known as superficial velocity, which is given by Q naught. You can see Q by A pipe. So what is Q here? Q is the volumetric flow rate, and A pipe is the cross sectional area of the pipe. We are considering a circular pipe, and that the pipe is filled with a lot of spherical particles and forming a packed bed, and we are passing a fluid through that packed bed. So the superficial velocity is given by U naught Q by a cross-sectional area of the pipe. But in reality, what happens? In reality, the velocity of the fluid is based on the actual area which is open to the flowing fluid. See, you have a packed bed of marble. Okay, you're just considering marble. So that there is some sort of porosity like packing fraction, right? You are all ceramist, so I think you all know what is the packing fraction is, right? Whenever you arrange some sort of regular fashion, some marble, there will be some open pores through which the liquid has to percolate. So the superficial velocity is not actually the critical factor which is considered, but actually it is called the interstitial velocity, because the velocity of the fluid depends on the amount of open space which is available. So the interstitial velocity is given by U equal to U naught by E. Here E is the porosity or void fraction. Okay. So that actual velocity or the interstitial velocity is actually higher than the superficial velocity. So the U is given by Q by E divided by cross-sectional area. So E is the porosity or void fraction which is given by free volume available for fluid divided by total volume of fluid bed, total volume of fixed bed. Okay, that is E, or porosity or void fraction. Now for a packed bed, the hydraulic radius, because I think already I talked about it, hydraulic radius. If it is a spherical particle, then the hydraulic radius is equal to the radius of that bed. But in reality, there are a lot of geometry which are not exactly spherical or circular in shape. If it is non-spherical, non-circular, then actually you have to consider hydraulic radius. So for a packed bed, the hydraulic radius varies from point to point, and it is given by, in the last class we already mentioned, hydraulic radius given by RH is equal to weighted cross-section area normal to the flow divided by the weighted perimeter. Okay. So that if you multiply both the numerator and denominator by the length, then what will happen? If you weighted cross-sectional area is multiplied by length, it will become volume open to flow, and the denominator will be total weighted surface area for packing. Okay. As you can see, RH is volume open to flow divided by total weighted surface area of the packing. Now for a porous media made up of equally size of spherical particle, what will be the RH? Because I have given you example that the packed bed is considered a lot of spherical particles, just like marbles. Okay, so for the hydraulic radius will be total volume of bed times E, because it was volume open to flow. So that is equal to nothing but total volume of bed times C, that is the packing fraction, and divided by total weighted surface area of packing, which is nothing but number of particles divided by the in times surface area of the particle. That will be total surface area. If you know the surface area of a particle, and if you multiply the total number of particles, that will be the total surface area. But actually, number of particles also can be represented by volume of bed into 1 by 1 minus C. Why 1 minus C? Because E is the white fraction. So obviously 1 minus C is the solid fraction. So that is volume of bread into 1 minus V divided by volume of one particle. So that will be number of particles. So if you rearrange this term, RH become E divided by 1 minus E into surface area divided by volume of a particle. Okay. And so if you rearrange E by 1 minus E, and if you consider diameter of a particle is dp, then surface area by volume is pi dp square divided by pi by 6 dp whole cube. So this is together become dp by 6 times E by 1 minus E. That is the hydraulic radius, where dp is the particle diameter. So in case of the flow through packed bed, the Reynolds number can and the friction factor becomes, I have already mentioned you, Reynolds number is what? dv rho by mu, right? Now d is the diameter, but we are actually considering here actually hydraulic radius. So if you remember that 4 times the hydraulic radius is the diameter. So that's why it is 4RH. V is the velocity, but here actually the interstitial velocity is u0 by E, because u0 is the superficial velocity. And dv rho by mu. So rho by mu is the stay there. So if you rearrange this term, 4 into RH equal to 4 into dp by 6, E by 1 minus E, u0 by E into E by mu, which is become 2 dp u0 rho divided by 3 mu 1 minus E. So that is the Reynolds number. Similarly, friction factor is given by minus delta PF by rho L 4 RH divided by 2 u0 E whole square. Just like the, I think the friction factor we derived last class. Just go back and look at the formula. And if you rearrange this term, it's become 1 by 3 times minus del PF by rho L times dp by u0 square into E cube minus 1 by E. Here F stands for fluid. Okay. F stands for fluid. Okay. Or fluidization, actually you can say. So the modified friction factor and the Reynolds number. So you just remove that 1 by 3. The modified, that is normalized, you can normalize, and the modified friction factor become minus del PF by rho L dp by u0 square into E cube minus 1 minus E, and Reynolds number, modified Reynolds number become again 2 by 3. The factor can be removed and it's like dp u0 rho divided by mu 1 minus E. So this is very useful formula when you derive some sort of packed bed problem. Okay, packed bed of spherical particles. So then only you have to consider this type of equations. And the Fm is, if you combine these two equations, it's become 150 by Rem plus 1 by 1.75. This is known as Argand equation. Experimental data fits Reynolds modified Reynolds number between 1 to 2000. When the Reynolds number or modified Reynolds number less than 10, the flow rate streamline. So if you streamline this part, this second term can be neglected and it's become Fm 150 by Rem, which is just rearranging that term, Fm and Rem, you can see minus del Pf by rho E equal to 150 mu u0 L dp square E into 1 minus E whole square E cube. This is known as Kozenik-Harman equation. And if Reynolds number is greater than 1000, then it is a turbulent flow. Again, the first term can be neglected from the Argand equation, and Fm become 1.75, or you just put the value of Fm from the previous slide and it's become minus del Pf by E 1.75 u0 square L by dp 1 minus E by E cube. This is known as Burke-Plummer equation. These two equations are very useful and we'll see how it is important. Okay, in the next slides. I think there is an example given. A water softener consists of a vertical tube of 50 millimeter diameter and packed to a height of 0.5 meter with ion exchange resin particles. The particle may be considered spherical with a diameter of given 1.25 meter. Water flows over the bed because of gravity, due to gravity, as well as a pressure difference at a rate of 300 milliliter per second. The bed has a porosity of 0.3. Calculate the pressure gradient. Pressure gradient means del P by L. Okay, that is you have to calculate. So how you will approach the volumetric flow rate of the water through the bed is given. Q 0.3 liter per second, which is nothing but 0.0003 meter cube per second. Superficial velocity I have already mentioned, q by a naught. You can divide q by pi d square by 4. It becomes 0.153 meter per second. Now modified Reynolds number dp u naught e divided by mu 1 minus e. You know all the parameters are given, is 273.2. So Fm will be, you just put this value of modified Reynolds number, Fm will be 2.3. And again, the formula is del Pf, Fm rho L u naught square dp 1 minus e by eq. Fm you already calculated, and if you put the value, it will become 558.3 kilopascal. Okay, 553.8 kilopascal, and it is happening over a length of 0.5 meter. So that's, you can divide using the Bernoulli's equation, because Bernoulli's equation consider pressure drop is equal to minus del Pf minus rho g delta L, because it is happening over a length of L. The initial pressure is given this much, and rho g delta L, that the pressure drop due to that height is given rho g h, that is rho g delta L, is become total become 553 minus 553.4 kilopascal, right? So the required pressure gradient will be del P by L, 553.4 divided by 0.5, 1107 kilopascal per meter of packed bed. So that's how you calculate. Okay. So let's look into the fluidization concept. Okay. So fluidized bed, I think you have all heard packed bed and fluidized bed. What happens? You have a granular material, granular spherical particle consisting in a let's say it's a circular cross-sectional pipe. Okay, and you're passing the fluid from bottom to up. Okay, this granular particle consists of a length of delta L, and the pressure at this point is P1, and this point is P2. So what happens when the liquid percolates through this fluid? There is the fluid remains suspended into that the fluid, the particles remain suspended as the fluid pass through it, right? So what happens as the fluid passes through it, due to the frictional factor or the friction between the particles and the walls, there is always some sort of counterbalance force acting on it. One is the fluid velocity, which try to pull the spherical particle up. Another is the weight of the particle, which is try to pull it down. So these two forces balance each other, right? So what happens? The pressure of the fluid gradually increases, but the bed remain constant. Okay, the bed remain constant. As you can see, this schematic diagram, del P is the pressure drop and del L is the length of the bed. So as the fluid velocity increasing, this is fluid velocity, the x-axis is fluid velocity. As the fluid velocity increasing, pressure gradually increases, but the bed remain fixed. A point is reached when the fluid velocity reaches a maximum bed velocity, which is known as fluidization velocity or incipient fluidization velocity. At that point, the bed itself try to move along with the particles. Okay, the spherical particle try to move along with the fluid. So the bed does not remain suspended, it actually starts gradually moving along the fluid path. So that is known as that velocity when it happens is known as incipient fluidization velocity, that is given by minimum fluidization velocity mf. So upon that, the length of the bed keep on increasing, delta L keep on increasing, but the pressure drop reaches maximum and remains constant. So that is, before that fluidization happen, it is known as packed bed. The moment the bed become fluidized or start moving along with the fluid, that is known as fluidized bed. As you can see, I have mentioned packed bed and fluidized bed. So after the fluidization bed has been initiated, the pressure drop remain constant, but the bed length constantly increases. So let's look into this. Fluidization is an operation by which fine granular solids are transferred into a fluid-like state through contact with a fluid. Okay, as the definition is an operation by which fine granular solids are transferred into a fluid-like state through the contact with the fluid. Now consider the upward flow of a fluid through a vertical bed of fine particles. At a low fluid rate, the fluid merely percolates through the void space between the stationary particle in a fluidized fixed bed. So the packed bed is a fixed bed. If the flow rate of the fluid is increasing steadily, a point is reached when the particles are all just suspended in the upward flowing fluid. At this point, the frictional force between a particle and fluid counterbalance the weight of the particles, and the pressure drop through any section of the bed nearly equal to the weight of the fluid. That's what I mentioned. Okay. and the particle intersection. So the bed is considered to be just fluidized and referred to as the incipient fluidized bed. Okay. So the moment that in minimum fluidization pressure is, the bed becomes fluidized. Okay. For a bed of minimum fluidization, the pressure drop is given by del P across the area A, which is actually nothing but the weight of the granular solid particles suspended into that bed, is equal to A LMF. LMF is the length of the bed. 1 minus EMF. EMF is the minimum, the porosity void fraction at the minimum fluidization velocity times rho P minus rho. Rho P is the density of the particle minus rho into G, where A is the cross-section area of the bed and rho P is the density of the particles. So del P by LMF, you can divide by LMF equal to 1 minus rho MF, just rearranging the term, equal to rho P minus rho by G. In many practical application of fluidization, the particles are very small and the fluid velocity is low, so that the flow can be considered as a streamline flow. So this equation I have derived. Now for streamline flow, we have seen this, the equation in the previous slide. We can substitute that del PF minus divided by LMF 150 mu UMF dP square into 1 minus EMF whole square by EMF cube. This is we have just saw, right, in the Argand equation, right? This equation for the streamline flow. So if you just rearrange the term 2 and 3, equation 2 and 3, the superficial velocity of minimum fluidization which is given by UMF dP square by 150 rho P minus rho by mu G EM cube minus 1 by EMF. Okay. Now for a given fluid system, this parameter you rearrange this term del P by L minus L into 1 minus P. You just take in the previous slide del P by L 1 minus E. You are taking this term is equal to rho P minus rho G, that is constant, right? So that is K, because density of the fluid, density of the particle, gravitational, these all are constant. So del P by L by 1 minus E is equal to K1 constant, which can be again given from this equation. Here all this constant, right? So 1 minus E, which is nothing but 1 minus E by E cube, right? Because here actually velocity is constant, right? It dP is all these are constant. So actually it becomes 1 minus E by E cube, because this is actually delta P minus L by 1 minus E equal to EMF. Okay. So this is so K1 and K2 are constant. Then the bed porosity and E with the superficial fluid velocity U naught in a fluid is given by U naught equal to, because we are just substituting these two equations. K1 by K2 will be K constant, that will be U naught will be constant, E cube minus 1. We have just rearranged this term. Okay, U naught equal to E cube by 1 minus E, and Q1 by K2 are considering K. So K is a constant. So for a E less than 0.8, we can say L by LMF is equal to 1 minus EMF plus 1 minus E. We are using this equation, right? This and this equation, you can see all the terms are constant. Only the variables are L and 1 minus E. So L by L into 1 minus E is constant, that is pressure drop. Similarly, LMF 1 minus EMF is constant, right? And that is pressure drop. So we have just rearranged this term, and this become L by LMF 1 minus EMF by 1 minus E. For a free settling velocity of a fluid, free settling velocity means when there is no obstacle, there is no drag force, right? That is mean we are applying Stokes law. The free settling velocity UT of a spherical particle in a fluid medium is given by Stokes law. dP square rho P minus rho by G divided by 18 mu. Provided the Reynolds number is dP rho by mu equal to less than 0.3. It is for the Stokes law. We'll see that. So let's look into our numericals. Estimate the minimum fluidization velocity for a bed of particle fluidized by water. Take dP 120 micron, porosity given 1 pi s. Del P is given 2500 kg per meter cube. EMF given 0.45. Density of the water is given 1000 kg per meter cube. Mu is given 0.9 megapascal second. Also calculate the bed voltage E and the ratio of the height of the fluidized bed to that of fluidized bed for U naught by UMF 1, 10. So value for UMF is given by this formula. I already have seen the UMF. Now this equation holds when the modified Reynolds number dP UMF E by mu 1 minus EMF 10. So let's see what is the REMF. First you have to calculate REMF. See, to calculate REMF modified Reynolds number, which is 0.063 less than 10. So this equation holds, like, so you can calculate EMF dP by 150, del P, all the parameters are known. You put the value and it's calculated 0.026 centimeter per second. Now, for U naught by EMF given 10, right? So U naught by EMF 10, it will be the formula of E cube by 1 minus E divided by EM cube by 1 minus E. Just the previous slide. So E cube by 1 minus E, EMF already given 0.5, it becomes 0.748, right? So that is the ratio of 0.748. Sorry, E cube by 1 minus E 1.657, and by solving E becomes 0.748. So what will be the bed void H and the height of the fluidized bed to that of fixed bed, that is L by LMF. It is equal to 1 minus EMF by 1 minus E. Put the value, it's become D by 2 minus 2.18. So that is actually L by LMF. Okay. Height of the fluid packed bed to the fluidized bed. Okay. Let's look into another problem. Sponge iron is being produced in a fluidized bed reactor by reducing fine particles of iron oxide. Average particle size 0.5 millimeter at 1000 Kelvin by a reducing gas. The gas consists of 50 volume percent hydrogen and 50 volume percent of 50 volume percent of its viscosity is, or 50 volume percent of CO, and its viscosity is 2 into 10 to the power minus 5 kg per meter cube per second. Calculate critical pressure drop per meter height of the bed at the onset of fluidization, that is del PC by L. You have to determine minimum fluidization velocity EMF, the critical bed void fraction of fluidization point, that is EMF, the critical void bed void fraction at fluidization, the EMF may be assumed to be 0.4, and density of iron oxide given 5 into 10 to the power 3 kg per meter. First, you have to calculate del P by LMF, right? First, you have to calculate del P by LMF, which is rho P minus rho by into 1 minus rho G, right? Again, density of iron oxide particle given. If the velocity volume of the particle does not change upon reduction, then the density of the resulting iron produced would be, because one iron oxide gives 2 iron, right? 1 mole of iron oxide gives 2 iron. So if Fe2O3 gives 2 Fe, so it will be 5 into 10 to the power 3 into 2 into 56 molecular weight of iron, right? Divided by 160, that is the molecular weight of iron oxide. So it is given 3.5 into 10 to the power 3 kg per meter cube. Since 160 kg of iron oxide produce 112 kg of iron. Very good. The density of the particle, average density of iron oxide and iron, can be given by the summation, the average value 4.25 into 10 to the power 3 kg per meter. The density of the gas mixture is, it is given 0.5%, 50 volume percent CO and 50 volume percent hydrogen, right? So you just multiply hydrogen 2 and CO is 28 divided by STP is 22.4 liter, right? So all this thing, and then at standard temperature and pressure, that is 273 Kelvin, since 1 kg mole of gas is equal to at standard temperature and pressure occupy 22.4 meter cube. So you just divide, so it will be 0.183 kg per meter cube. So del P by LMF will be 4.25 into 10 to the power 3 minus 0.183 into 1 minus 0.4, right? And it's become, some number is become, that is 2.5 into 10 to the power 4 Newton per meter cube, okay? For calculation of UMF, we know modified Reynolds number is this formula for a packed bed. In view of a small particle size, it is expected the flow will be laminar. It is the laminar, that Burke-Plummer equation can be used, del P by LMF 150 rho EMF by dP square 1 minus EMF square by EMF cube. You have already calculated this, right? Put the value and then you calculate UMF, right? EMF becomes 0.37 meter per second. So the REMF at point of fluidization become 2.82 less than 10. So you see REMF is less than 10. So assumption of laminar flow is there. The minimum fluidization velocity is 0.37.